All right, diving in today, folks, we're looking at this idea, and it's fascinating, of resistance in silence. That quiet strength inside that keeps your moral compass steady, even when things get crazy tough.
Yeah, like a wellspring of resilience.
Mm.
And to really get it, we're focusing on, well, who better than Nelson Mandela, right?
Exactly. And for you listening, we know you like to get to the good stuff quickly, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're going to see how Mandela dealt with really, really tough situations, but never lost that inner strength. And we'll keep it interesting, promise.
Absolutely.
We also want to be real.
Yes.
These challenges, they can feel impossible, but they're not unbeatable.
Huh.
Sometimes it's those little things, those creative sparks, your community, a moment of simple joy. Those are the things that get you through.
Absolutely. They give you hope and remind you how strong you really are.
That's what we're all about,
We're-
inspiring you, showing you tough times can be handled with the right mindset and clear thinking.
Yeah, and we're not pushing any agenda here. We're not going to drown you in facts and figures. We've got all sorts of sources, history, thoughts on inner peace, even stuff on leadership to get a full picture. Just listen, open your mind, let the ideas flow.
Love it. So to really get this resistance in silence, let's go back to Mandela's beginnings. There's this moment with his dad. It's an historical record. His father basically refused to go to court, said indizi indissagula, which means I will not come. I am still girding for battle.
Powerful, right?
Really powerful. This wasn't just him being difficult. This was a huge sign of disrespect.
Yeah.
And it shows his resistance came from a place of principle, rooted in tradition, his authority.
Right, he wasn't just angry.
Not at all. He was asserting himself as a chief, going against what he saw as unfair power. It shows us early on that real resistance comes from deep down, from knowing what's right, even if there are consequences.
And there were consequences, right?
Yeah.
His father was removed as chief, not a small thing.
No, a big sacrifice. Shows you even quiet resistance, based on what's right, not violence, can cost you. This loss would have affected his whole community. It's interesting, that same record describes where Mandela grew up, Kwanu, a narrow valley, grass everywhere, those beehive huts. What do you think that tells us about him?
It's like, the setting really paints a picture of the values and the people that shaped him. A traditional place where justice and resistance were part of the stories and the examples set by elders, by his father. Not political activism as we know it, but something deeper, more personal.
I see what you mean. So building on that, let's look at how Mandela himself found that inner strength when things got really intense. We've got this workbook on personal growth, and it says, take all your joy from within.
Yeah.
How does that tie into the resistance we're talking about?
Think about it. Where does your strength come from? What happens when they try to control you, take away your freedom, your dignity? Finding joy inside yourself, that's like a secret weapon. It means they can't fully break you.
That's deep. That same book also talks about being yourself.
Right.
How is that just being genuine, a form of quiet defiance?
Because tyranny, oppression, it tries to force you into a box, erase who you are. Just being yourself, sticking to your values, that pushes back against that. It's quiet, but powerful.
I like that. It makes me think about how resistance isn't always about fighting, like literally. We've got this guide on ending tyranny, and it says you don't have to choose between giving in or going to war.
Right, there's more to it than that.
It highlights civil resistance.
Yeah, a powerful strategy.
What does that mean, civil resistance?
Well, people think it's either you take it or you fight back, right? But there are so many ways to resist without violence. Boycotts, protests, strikes, things like that.
And there's a statistic in there that's kind of mind-blowing. Nonviolent campaigns are actually more successful than violent ones.
Way more successful, 53% versus 26.
Wow.
It challenges the idea that violence is the only way. These quieter, more persistent methods, they work in the long run. Harder to stop, more people get on board.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And the guide also says it's not just about the situation. It's about the skills and choices of the people resisting. What do you think about that?
It's like, even when everything seems hopeless, a smart, organized movement can still win, even if it's nonviolent. It's not just luck. It's about the decisions they make, their ability to adapt and keep going.
So let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about mindfulness, focusing your mind. There's research on how meditation helps you know yourself better and handle stress. How do you think this might have helped Mandela during all those years in prison?
It's incredible to think he's locked up, physical freedom's gone, but his mind, his inner world, that was still his. Those years could have actually made him more aware of himself, helped him control his stress and fear. It's a key insight. Even when they control everything around you, you can still control what's inside, and that's where real strength comes from.
Absolutely. And we've got these other sources on focusing your mind. One says breath anchors got to anchor our minds, and another one is all about concentrating on your breath.
Yeah, simple but powerful.
How do those simple things build resilience?
It's like in all the chaos, your breath is a steady point. It brings you back to the present, stops you from getting lost in worries about the future or the past. It's crucial for staying calm and strong when things are tough for a long time.
And even ancient philosophies talk about this. Indian traditions, they emphasize staying aware of how everything's connected, even when there are distractions.
Yeah, deep stuff. It's like there's this fundamental truth that goes beyond suffering. When you tap into that awareness, you become more resilient, you see things differently.
So let's talk about moral authority, another form of resistance. Mandela stood strong against apartheid, even from prison, and it changed the world. How was his moral authority, that respect he earned by always doing the right thing, how was that a form of resistance?
It's a different way of thinking about power. There's this book on leadership, and it says it's better for a ruler to be feared than loved because love is unreliable. But Mandela, he chose moral authority. By staying true to his principles, even when it cost him, he inspired people globally, made the apartheid regime look bad in a way fear never could.
Interesting. That leadership book also said, forget about ideals, focus on getting things done, because sticking to an ideal can make you fail. Mandela, he did the opposite, held on to his ideals no matter what.
Exactly. That book was all about being effective in the moment, even if it meant sacrificing your morals. Mandela showed that in the long run, doing the right thing, staying true to yourself, that's what really changes things. His dedication to justice, even after years in prison, that was more powerful than any quick fix.
Shifting gears again, let's look at community and values. One perspective on teaching values emphasizes really getting those values like discipline and self-control, not just knowing them, but feeling them, and how that makes you live by them, even when it's hard. What's the takeaway there, even if it's not directly about Mandela?
It's about the link between what you believe and how you act. When you really understand and feel values like discipline, you're more likely to act on them, even when tempted or facing hardship. It's like a shared foundation that makes a community stronger when facing oppression.
And another source says people follow leaders who share their values. How do you think Mandela's strong moral compass influenced the anti-apartheid movement?
It's like Mandela was clear about what he believed, justice, equality, and he lived it. That would have resonated with people who felt the same way. They had that shared moral ground which brought them together, made them stronger, gave them the courage to resist, even when it was dangerous.
There's another interesting idea from a source that talks about letting go of waiting and being present, saying, if you are present, there is never any need for you to wait for anything.
Right.
How could that have helped Mandela survive all those years in prison?
The thing is, waiting, hoping for the future, wanting the suffering to end, that wears you down. But when you focus on the present, what you can control right now, it lightens the load. Each day, each moment becomes its own reality, not just a painful step towards something else.
Makes sense. And lastly, while our sources don't specifically talk about Mandela using humor, we wanted to touch on that idea. Finding lightness, even humor in dark times, can be a way to resist.
Right.
How can keeping things in perspective, even finding something to laugh about, help you deal with really hard situations?
It's so important for your mental well-being. Humor, it releases tension, gives you a new angle. It's a way of staying human when they're trying to dehumanize you. You're not letting the darkness consume you. You're reclaiming your inner world, seeing beyond the suffering. Insight, too, it helps you understand the situation better so you don't feel totally powerless. It gives you a sense of agency even when you're trapped.
I see that.
It validates your struggles and offers a glimmer of hope, reminding you that hardship, even when it feels huge, often doesn't last forever.
So, to sum it all up, we saw how Mandela's early life shaped his resistance, how finding joy and being true to yourself can be powerful forms of defiance, the surprising strength of nonviolence, the resilience you build through mindfulness, and the impact of moral authority.
Yeah, and Mandela's life shows us resistance and silence isn't passive. It's strong, resilient. It's sticking to your principles, that inner strength that can change history and inspire hope in the darkest times.
So for everyone listening, think about those times in your life when your inner strength, your quiet determination, made a bigger difference than any outward fight. How can you build that resistance and silence within yourself as you face your own challenges? Remember the power you have inside to face tough times with moral resilience and a clear perspective.
It's there. We all have it.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Until next time.